Vincenzo's Go Crypto Investing, and this is an altcoin update on this July the 25th, 2025. And our lovely, glowing Jabroni Killer member, I believe Ashley, is asking about SPX. In the previous video, we did an algo update for you, and we'll do an HBAR in here for you too, Ashley. And you said SPX, so I'm assuming you mean the Standard & Poor's Index, the SPX. And we'll look at what's been going on in the SPX, and you can see due to what we're just in, hyperinflation, we are at a new all-time high. And you can see where the brief scare with the Trump tariffs in the SPX, we're right here, and you can see the harsh, brief sell-off where the hysteria took place before he pulled back on the tariffs. You had a manipulated dip of 21.36%. It presented a beautiful buying opportunity for a bunch of people that bought, the big wigs, the hedge funds, CEOs that pay, at least in my opinion, to get these manipulated dips so that they can facilitate whatever they're facilitating. You can see we made that V-shaped recovery, and now we're sort of exhausting this move. And one of two things are going to happen. He's actually going to implement the tariffs harshly, and it's going to cause another sell-off briefly, right? And then you would look at the moving averages, and we're in the weekly time frame. But if we went into we'll actually use the weekly time frame for the SPX. You would look at your first major support level would be the 50, obviously in the weekly, then the 100 in the weekly, and then the 200. And you can see on the last sell-off, we dipped just above the 200-day moving average. You can see on the sell-off back last year, we got down to the 100-day moving average. You can see Biden sell-off when they were trying to raise interest rates for that year, little over a year, when we went down 27.68%, 69%. You can see we came down to the 200-day moving average in the weekly, and that was the support structure, as well as any of the other crashes. Every time we had a crash, the COVID crash, remember the COVID crash? Here's your COVID depth crash, right? And then they printed their way out of it. Then we had the overnight repo crisis in 2016 and 17 with Obama right here, and we were about to go into a recession and a stock market crash, and they lowered interest rates, right? And then Trump took over, and I believe the reason COVID was implemented there is because what they were trying to prevent, the overnight repo crisis back here, we were getting exhausted and we were about to roll over on itself. So they needed an excuse, they needed a reason, they needed a crisis in order to give them the green light to use monetary stimulus and open up the printing presses, unlike something they've never seen before, and take it to the next level with a quantitative easing, monetary stimulus, and monetizing the debt, right? And so that's what's going on with the SPX. I believe they're just going to continue, like Venezuela, to hyperinflate the stock market. There will be crashes, but I believe they will always go back to the only playbook they have is to increase debt, to try to lower rates, going negative if ever needed, to just continue to inflate assets, right? Whether the real return of that asset, like Venezuela, they have stocked the hottest stock market in the world the last decade, hundreds of percent a day in some cases, the stock market going up. But their currency, if their market's going up in the stock market 100% today, their currency was debased 500% in the same day. So they have a net, right, 300% loss in purchasing power, right? And they don't care in the United States right now if that's where eventually we're going to go, because in the short term, it gives consumers the false reality of having more money, right? Because their account is higher, right? Even though their purchasing power is being stripped away. But if you make the money quick enough right now, it's not being inflated quick enough for you to notice. You can see HBAR after we went to the all-time lows. And this is something that I'm thinking AMP is going to eventually do. You can see we came up to that mountain double top, which was near or at the old all-time high. It may have actually broken on this chart a new high. We identified that mountain double top there in the daily time frame. And that got you down where we thought we would go in this correction to the 15 cents, and it did. Then we had this nice, beautiful double bottom right here. And then when we held that double bottom, when the market got bullish, we said the 34 cents is your major upper resistance. And you can see the moving averages obviously have switched bullish now, where we've had all of our crosses. Now the big question, the $1 million question is this just one of those turtle patterns, right? Where you got the turtle shell, and then you got the turtle's head, right? And it's kind of like that conveyor belt where it likes to leak out and eventually turn bearish. So right now, you want to hold these 3 moving averages on any kind of correction, which it would be very healthy and bullish to correct into the moving averages to reload, and then you make your next run at 34 cents. If you break the 34 cents, you could go up to $2.28 because at least according to this chart with HBAR, that is your all-time high, right? That's your all-time high. So if you breach out of that, you're in price discovery, so why not go to $2.28? But that's the billion-dollar question. Or was just the ultimate double top, and then it's going to eventually give it all back and come all the way back from 34 cents back to 4 cents, right? That's the million-dollar question, and that's what we're going to watch. But in the short term, Ashley, what I would be paying attention to, as long as you're above these 3 moving averages here, try to make this super simple and easy in the short term, is what we're talking about here. You're bullish in the short term as long as you stay above those moving averages. Obviously, you want to break this old all-time high area of major resistance, but if you got below the 3 moving averages, that's when you would flip bearish again, and that's when the 15 cents and potentially something even lower could come back into play. But as long as you're above in the short term, lovely Jabroni Killer member, these 3 moving averages, you're short-term bullish, the medium term very bullish. If you're above these moving averages, if you get below them, you start to have to look at short to medium term bearish action, right? So that's what we're looking at in HBAR. If we go look at XDC, since we're here, we got rejected by that 10 cents, something that we were talking about when we were making this turnaround that we could come all the way up to in XDC, and it actually did. I think it was about a 90% move from trough to peak. Let's take an official measurement. It was a 88% move, but we did get rejected by that, and that was the area we were targeting. And now the same thing for XDC. If you stay above these 3 moving averages on this consolidation, you're bullish, and you can try to make another run at the 10 cents and try to break it. If you slip these moving averages, that's when you get bearish again, and that's when the 5 cent level, the 6 cent level would come back into play. So over this weekend, I'd be paying attention to the 10 cents is your major upper resistance, obviously, and your bullish support level for the weekend are these 3 moving averages. If you're above those, you're still bullish. If you get below those, you get short-term bearish. If we look at the XCN, since we're there, we got harshly rejected, and you can see this is something, this could be a precursor to come. XCN, look at what just happened here. We gave away all of that gain. We broke back through the 50-day moving average in the daily. We broke back through the 100-day moving average, and look where we wicked back to, right on the top part of this purple trading zone, and that's the critical area right now. You have to stay above this purple trading area where you held support on, and you're just above it now to stay bullish, right? Stay above that 200-day and stay above that 0.01498 or the top part of that purple trading zone, because if you don't, you'll get very bearish very quickly, and before you know it, you'll be all the way back down here, right? But if you can stay above that top part of that purple trading zone right where you're at now, get back above these moving averages, that's how you can try to make another run back up here towards the next resistance area at 0.02279 or the bottom part of that lighter red trading area, right? So that's what we're looking at in the XCN in the short term. And I wanted to wrap this out with a little bit of DGB. This is the same thing as what XDC was doing, but we haven't been able to appreciate as much. But you can see the moving averages have all trended up. You have the 200, the 50s moving up, and it's attempting to make a bullish cross. And if we have another leg to this pump this weekend, you would have a bullish cross by Monday. And what DGB in the short term this weekend, we want to stay above that 0.00838 yellow left to right area, these 3 moving averages, obviously. And if you can do that, you can make a very quick pump this weekend or early next week from where you're at now into the next resistance area, which is about 31.72% higher at about the 0.01200. But obviously, if you got below this 0.0038, that's when you would become extremely short-term bearish again. And if we look at AMP, we got harshly rejected by the 200-day moving average, unfortunately. We're sitting on a major support level and a critical support level of the 50-day in the daily. We need to hold that. And so what we really need to see here is to get a nice rebound and fight back through these and then get above the 200-day and then get on top of this 0.004 and try to make a run from there. Because if you could break that, your next move up would be 0.00700, right? So it's a critical area for AMP. We want to stay above the pattern support at 0.00320 in purple from left to right. Like the channel. I appreciate all your support. Jabroni Killer members, join the movement and the growing knowledge and information filled on our way to becoming asset millionaires together. Peace and love. The Rock Eyebrow, Jay.